It does, I agree.
All right, good evening. We are beginning the Tree Advisory Committee meeting for April 11th, 2024 at 4:02. I'm calling to order. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Are there any comments, any edits to the approval from March 14th minutes?
No, I move approval of the minutes from our March 14th meeting.
All right. I'll second it. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the minutes are approved from our March meeting. There is no one here for a public appearance. No one on Zoom or in person. Fourth, we look at the agenda. Does anyone recommend any changes in the order of the agenda or edits?
Looks good to me.
Okay. If not, do we need a motion to approve the agenda? I know we have done it before.
I move we
Okay.
approve the agenda.
All right.
I second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the agenda for this evening is approved. Well, the first item is resolution R4424, which is approval of the 2024 spring tree planting. And there's extensive information in the packet for tonight's meeting about the process that was used for that, what has been approved by staff, and very specifically what trees will be planted, where they will be planted, and the standards that will be used for planting, as well as the standards for searching for and accepting the bids.
Yeah, and I'm happy to talk about any of that if folks wanna, just an overview. Basically, we start putting the process together usually in January. We put it all together, we put it out to bid, and in order to put it out to bid, we put it on a software called Quest, which is a commercial bidding software where it goes out to whomever's membership of Quest. We also email it to all interested parties, so we email it to all the tree planters that we've worked with in the past, tree planters who have done similar work in other municipalities, and we also then advertise it in the Wisconsin State Journal for 2 weekends. So and so we got this year. I think we got 9 bids. I can bring it up here. Okay, there's so these are all, so yeah, so and this is all the information for the different developments. And basically the contractor who bid, the price is $249 a tree. That's the tree, the installation, a year maintenance, and a warranty. And that's actually one of the best prices we've ever gotten. I
was gonna ask what that is compared to prior.
Last year was $250 something, so it's a little cheaper than last year, which and I think part of it is that we really, we try to be easy to work with, but I think part of it is this is the contract that Linda was talking about that with all the specifications. I think part of it is a lot of these trees are in developments that it's very much bam, 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 bam. So what we do is we try to keep things together so we get that economy of scale. So they're planting tree here, tree here, tree here, tree here, and then we come back and pick up anything that's missing in the future. So we really get, when we have these big contracts, this is 262 trees, I believe. When we have these big contracts, we get the best price. And then if we pay a little bit more for a one-off here or there, it's not as impactful to the budget. So I think that's part of the reason why we got such a good price, because most of these trees are, 113 of them are in Terra Bessa, and it's just bam, 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 bam. So it's not quite that easy, but it's, we put it so it flows quite well.
Assembly line.
Right, exactly. So anyway, and so I'm just I'm scrolling really fast through the contract. You guys can look at it, on your laptops and and this is the stock. We're getting balled and burlap stock is what we're getting for this particular project, and And the bidding qualifications, everyone was highly qualified. The bidder that we selected, SRB Trees, they have worked with us in the past multiple times, and they have done a lot of work for municipalities in this area. They did, interestingly enough, they did all of City of Madison's tree pits. And we are doing tree pits as a separate project, but they weren't the low bidder on that, so we're actually going with someone else, but that's a.
Would you explain tree pits?
Thank you. So yes, so we do have, thank you, yes. I always talk about this like it's everyone knows, but in some of our newer developments, we do have paved terraces, particularly where there is a lot of high density residential and business. And so to put the trees in, they pave the terrace, they cut out the sidewalk where the tree's gonna go, they dig out the gravel, they put the dirt in, and then we put the tree in. But how I specified that, that's a different project. It's only 28 trees, so it's a different project. We bid it the same way, but it's a different project and a different vendor got that. But at any rate, the story with that is, we need trees in those areas. But we have to be really careful about how we spec that because we want those trees to last. We need trees there more than almost anywhere else. So it's a little bit of a, we'll see. I only did 20, I think it's 26 to start with to see how it goes before because we have 100 and something, I forget exactly how many, but we have well over 100 to plant in Terra Vesta. So we just started with a smaller, along Lacey and along Brassica is what we're starting with, and we'll see how that goes. But anyway, I digress. And the person who, I guess what I was trying to say is the person who got that project had good we always check references. He had good references and he had a good installer qualification statement. So we take all this very seriously.
Does our tree inventory reflect, or could it reflect who put those trees in?
Yeah, we could.
It could go. What I'm thinking about is over a grand period of time, it would be helpful to say like the trees from this year have been consistently better than all the other ones or consistently worse, and being able to 10 years from now use that data of how these ones have done over time. And if, I don't know what our inventory software is like, but if there's a way to tag it with like, this is the company we bought it from, it seems like future projects might appreciate having that context.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never thought of that, but it would be just adding another field, the data field, which would be pretty, and it'd be the same person, so it's just,
Yeah.
When
you put in these 260 odd new trees or however many it is, it wouldn't be too arduous. I ask for future stuff because I'm not sure that without a specific use, it makes sense to try and go back in time to do that, unless there's somebody who has a very specific reason to do that.
Right, no, that's a good point. And I will say, the question did come up about warranty. We take warranty pretty seriously. So far, we've done 3 warranty inspections. We have 23 trees already, and that's very high for us, and it's the drought. It's the drought and the warm winter between those two things. So,
anecdotally, the new one last year that came in the median between my sidewalk and the street looks like it's doing well. So.
Awesome, that red bud?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think so. I mean, I'm no expert, but it's starting to poke out, so.
That's awesome. Before they put that tree in, I was like, I want to see that thing, just so you know, and it was a good one, so I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, so this is all of the specs that we will, and this is, I guess I'm up on the warranty here. So this is the warranty. They've got to be in healthy and flourishing condition, and that's defined by us after one full growing season. And if not, they give us a new one. So they shall remove, replace without cost as soon as weather permits commit. And we put this 25% dead thing in there. If it's, but we also caveat it not in healthy and flourishing condition. So if it was planted and it's not straight, if it didn't get staked correctly, whatever the case, but it looks okay, it's not 25% dead, we can still warranty it. So anyway,
great.
That's just a little bit more information.
How do you make decisions about where the trees are gonna go?
Good question. That's an excellent question. So the first thing is bringing up all of the mostly stormwater infrastructure. So because the gas and the electric is fairly straightforward, it's in where the water shutoffs are, and we have so it's bring up the stormwater infrastructure to make sure we're not on top of pipes, and then we have a formula. 15 feet from a street light. Sometimes we give it a little bit more berth. So many feet from a sidewalk ramp. all of those sorts of things. And then we're also looking at aspect, is this tree gonna get a lot of winter sun? If it is, we're not gonna plant a maple because it's just gonna frost crack, et cetera, and just what's gonna fit. In this particular tree planting, we have a lot of trees in a small space because it's just how it worked out. So really we did the strategy of having long-lived canopy trees and then a few smaller, more medium-sized trees in between another long-lived canopy tree. So in 50 years, those shorter-lived trees will be gone and those canopy trees will take over. And we won't really, some of them will still be there, but it's not gonna be like a missing teeth situation. So, and it's, because that's what it looks like sometimes.
It's a very good metaphor for it.
It's just, it looks terrible. Sometimes when there's a tree missing, you're like, oh, geez. But anyway, so that's kind of the strategy with some of this, so that we get canopy, it's, not instant, but, we get canopy in the short run, but in the long run, we still have room for those big canopy trees to grow. So anyway, that's the long story longer. I talk about this stuff. I could talk about it all day. But anyway, so.
I think it's wonderful.
Well, unless we're getting the equivalent of tree botany 101.
Right.
Well, and the more we know, the more we can
Exactly.
help support and
Yeah.
It looks like this was on the agenda for the park commission
Yes.
last week.
Yes.
And I assume our packet got put together before that was finalized, but how did that go? Were there any
They had some
big
questions.
talking points or?
No, great question. They did pass it. They wanted to know about this. They wanted to know numbers, different species, the diversity, and they also asked really good questions about global warming, which, to be honest, no one's got the magic bullet with that. We just don't know. Warm winters do kill trees. Droughts do kill trees. So the answer, what we've been trying to do is just do a lot of diversity. There are some cultivars on here, like for instance that Eastern Redbud, that Columbus cultivar is grown here in Wisconsin. We're really picky about that. That's the cultivar we want. We don't want something from elsewhere, and it does much better here. The Prairie Pride, that hackberry, that does better here than any other cultivar. So we're kind of getting in on what cultivars really work well here. Our native trees do better. We do plant some trees that are not invasive, that are not native, just to kind of keep the diversity up. Katsura is an example of that. What else is an example of that? The hybrid elm, sort of. Ginkgo, Yellowwood. The rest of that's all native. Well, State Street maple is not. But at any rate, so they were just really wanting to make sure that we were choosing from a good palette, trying different things and continuing to be innovative. And we try, we definitely try. And we will get all this from the contractor. It's not, and if he doesn't have something, we wait for it. So if he's not able to dig for whatever reason, a specific thing, we wait for it and we don't just say, throw whatever in. So
how long has the city been using the pit trees?
this is our first year.
Yeah, that's exciting though. I think that's really, I'm just thinking about some of the other sustainability, mitigating the heat islands and the equity that we're looking for in the city as well.
Yeah, I hope it goes well. So I bid that completely separately. It's not a very expensive project, so it doesn't raise to the money threshold of having to come to committees. I even forget what it is. I forget. I should have that. I don't want to say the wrong thing, so I'm not gonna. Do I have it here? I might have it here. And for this, and then the other thing, just to finish Craig's question here, the other thing people were interested in was how many bids did we get? And this is the bid tab. We got Arthur Wheeler, who we worked with in the past, McKay's, SRV Trees, Environmental Solutions, and Dan Larson, Green. This is the bid tab. So you can see it's kind of not all over the place. We've had a few kind of high ones, but they're mostly, within the same range as what we're looking at. So anyway, so that's just to show that it was a fair situation. We have a lot in that 60 to 80 range, which you would guess, and then there's a few that are way over. And I think the difference there is they don't probably dig their own trees. I don't know.
It's interesting to see the one that bid twice, but at different warranties.
Oh, yeah, so I would love, you're right. I would love to work with them. Thank you for bringing that up, Legacy Trees. Yeah, so Legacy Trees, we have some Legacy Trees in McKee Farms Park that they actually donated to us, which was awesome. Thank you for bringing this up. They're an interesting company. They're a little bit more expensive, but not a lot. And they have a different kind of a grow dig situation where they get more of the roots. intact when they're planting, and I'd love to try some small projects with them just to see how it goes, because it is a little bit more money. They're probably never going to be low bid, but they do an excellent job, and they have excellent stock. I mean, the trees in McKee Farms Park look amazing, and they came because they had great roots. They came through that drought really well.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that you have the latitude to choose quality trees. And it may be a little more expensive, or a vendor that might be a little more expensive, but has high quality trees, so.
Well, particularly in future years, if there is a small gap, I know any kind of governmental thing, it's always tough to choose anything but the lowest bid, but if you or other city staff feel strongly that there's a good reason to choose a not lowest bid, I think the tree advisory committee is probably the set of people to make that argument.
I agree.
If that's your professional opinion at some point in the future, I mean, I think SRV Trees looks great this year. It might always be that the lowest bid is the right one, but I wouldn't want us to get into a position of just kind of dogmatically picking the lowest bid when there might be a quality difference or a reason not to pick the lowest bid.
You bring up an excellent point, and we did not used to be so picky in qualifications, and we did get a low bidder who was not quite qualified and was really it was spoon feeding the whole project to him, and which we got it done. It was okay, it wasn't awesome, but as you can imagine, there was a lot of warranty work, and he just said, no, I'm not gonna do it. So I went after his bond. I'm like, well, I'm going after your bond, and he was just like, okay, and I'm like, this is the big boy table, and I went after his bond, and then he had to do it, but that's documented. It's like, well, he didn't do the warranty work. He did it because we went after his bond, and he had to, and it was a ton of staff time. And I have that all documented. So
yeah, that's enough to make it not worth picking that person ever again if they were ever to bid again.
And interestingly, he did bid again, and he said he wanted to do our tree planting, but he didn't want to work with me. And I'm just like, well, I was just like,
Well, I can see, I mean, well, yeah.
I was just like, okay, good luck.
And again, yeah, I want to say that I'm very appreciative of all the specificity regarding the trees that are being purchased, as well as the whole planting process and the materials being used.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
This list, it's a great list.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Having planted some of these myself.
Yeah.
Having dug holes for them.
Right.
For
Yeah.
some of these trees, it's like, great.
Yeah. So, and we tend to have success with everything on this list. Like I said, So we always hope for the best. If it doesn't rain, it's tough across the board.
It's tough. It's tough everywhere.
It's just
doesn't rain.
Yeah, which was last year, but
We still have a hope that we can talk a little bit more about that in the future, about thinking about what is actually desired in the budget to provide the maintenance, the watering, and the maintenance for the new plantings in the first 3 years.
Yes.
I'm still hopeful that we can address that
Yes.
at some point in the near future.
Right. I agree. So, yeah.
It's all about protecting investment.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, because we can't make it rain, so what do we do next?
Right.
I was thinking you had a solution and then no rain. I went, I'm all ears.
I have a dance. No,
I was thinking, do we have a new dance going here?
Yeah, well, but I think there's a point about planting
Yes,
trees. If we
absolutely.
plant enough trees and do a variety of other things, the hope is that we can rely on the kind of rainfall, precipitation we need in the future. I mean, that's the goal, right?
Absolutely.
Long-term goal.
On this, I'll echo Linda's sentiment. I think the packet you put together here is really thorough and
Right.
it kind of makes our job a little bit easy. There's not, in my mind, I don't see any complaints or things that really need further investigation here. It looks like reading through before the meeting and then again now with your context, I think this is everything that we would need to refer the resolution on.
And if you ever want more information, I am happy to provide it.
off the clock later, I need to ask you for a personal recommendation of where to go for the trees for my yard, but that's not exactly committee time, so.
All right, so can we make a motion and
Yeah,
to approve the,
absolutely.
can I do that?
You can.
Sure.
Okay, so I make a motion that the Tree Advisory Committee approve the resolution 74424, the approval of 2024 spring tree planting.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Just a clarification, was that the right resolution number?
I was just wondering, I think that's.
I see R4424, which
did I
I
say?
think we all,
What did I say?
I don't remember, but I think you said something different. But I do believe we were all talking about the same resolution, but it might be worth just for formality's sake.
All right,
Making sure we
well,
say
we're
the
not
right
gonna
one.
take a chance at me misspeaking and causing any complications. So, I make a motion that we approve resolution R4424.
That's the right one, yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The Tree Advisory Committee approves resolution R4424, which is approval of the 2024 spring tree planting.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time and attention. And this will be happening, provided the council approves, it'll be happening probably the last week in April, first week in May. So, moving on. Hope I'm not giving anyone whiplash here. There we go, okay.
So moving on to, the Arbor Day Foundation Growth Award and the Tree City of the World designation. Very exciting.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, so thanks to most of the work of this committee, really. We got, so the Growth Award that we received from the Arbor Day Foundation, this was, we made the Tree City USA and Tree City of the World, but on top of that, we did apply for a Growth Award, and this was mostly due to our volunteer involvement last year, which is your work on I counted all your hours doing all of that work on the tree preservation ordinance, which was amazing. When I tallied it all up, it was a lot of hours. It was it was impressive. Anyway, so between all the volunteer work with the tree preservation ordinance, and then we had a lot of people watering trees last year, which was awesome. We had a whole group of people doing beautification in parks, planting trees. Our park commission does a lot, especially Sue. She did a lot of tree watering herself. She planted a bunch of serviceberry, among other things. So we really had just out of this world volunteer hours. So I just couldn't let that go by. I was like, well, I'm gonna try to make this into a growth award, and they gave it to us, which is awesome. So anyway, we've got, so I did a press release, I just wanted to share that with you. I don't know if the Fitchburg Star picked this up or not, I have no idea.
I don't know either.
So at any rate, but I wrote the press release, I put it out there, I wanted to share it with this group, it, I believe also got shared with Park Commission, I believe. So anyway, and this is something that we'll officially sort of celebrate at the April 23rd council meeting. So if anyone would like to come to that, we'll do the proclamation, the Arbor Day proclamation, and we'll talk a little bit about the Growth Award, among other things, if folks happen to be interested. And that's at 7:30.
Could you say that date one more time?
It's April 23rd.
Okay.
And we can put that on our list of important dates.
Okay. And then the Tree City of the World press release, I did a press release for that as well, because that was a significant accomplishment. Again, the work of this committee was very integral in that. We, between the getting the inventory updated and the tree preservation ordinance bumped us over. We're the second in Wisconsin, the 40th in the world. So it's pretty significant, and so I just kind of wrote that up as a press release. Again, I don't know if anyone picked this up or not.
That one was on the Fitchburg Star.
Oh, it was? Oh, good.
March 29th, they ran an article about that. So.
Awesome, good. Thank you for letting me know.
Is it the Tree City of the World?
Yep, the Tree City of the World.
Okay.
The other one I couldn't find on the website.
Okay.
So.
And they may do that one later or something, who knows. So at any rate, so it's a
and it's actually in this article they also received a growth award. So they're both at least covered in the same
Nice.
article.
Okay, awesome, good. So, yeah, so that's good. So at any rate, I just wanted to share the specifics with this group and just let you know on April 23rd is kind of when the council is gonna, have the official proclamation and talk about this at a council level. And I feel like this is good news, so it's like, especially in the state of the world at the moment, this is really great news. We're really moving forward. Really good things are happening. People are very interested in trees and tree preservation and all of that stuff, which is super positive. And I really appreciate everyone's support to kind of get to where we're at now.
So I think it would be great if as many of us as possible could be there for that,
Sure.
April 23rd.
That'd be awesome.
I think I can be there.
Okay.
It's a class day for me, so my last class day.
Oh, wow.
It's your last day.
That's awesome.
Well,
I
before
will not be
everybody
able to make
leaves
it.
today, I would like to talk about that a minute. but-
Yeah. So at any rate,
Is this a place we can just mention that we've had outreach from like Mills, a neighboring community?
Sure.
Where there's a group of people who are working very hard to get some tree protection, tree preservation or policy, formal policy with the city. So they have contacted us with, first they contacted Leah because of reading that she had gotten the award,
yeah,
which was pretty wonderful,
that's cool.
from the Arborist Association. What is the exact name of that?
It's the Wisconsin Arborist
Yes,
Association.
Wisconsin Arborist Association. Then she gave them our contact information, so
Yeah.
we've been working with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just sharing the things we learned and the experiences we had, so that's
It's great.
It was actually, it was kind of a nice, feel-good situation, which is great. All right, then the big ticket item tonight, besides the tree planting, is the IRA grant. So I was very deliberate about this whole thing. So, as you probably have heard, the federal government has this quite encompassing Inflation Reduction Act, and it includes, I want to say $1 billion for trees or something of that nature. But what that means for us is $4 million of those dollars are coming to the Wisconsin DNR to give out as grants. And I believe Milwaukee, Dane County, and Madison applied directly to the federal government for money. We were not, I guess big enough, it wasn't really appropriate for us to apply straight to the federal government. It's more appropriate for us to do go through the DNR to get at those federal funds. So they released this, as I had mentioned at our February meeting, they had released this in February. This is due in June, so I got it done for this meeting, so it'll go to Park Commission, it'll go the whole route to get referred out, because it requires a resolution, and I've written the resolution. So I guess what I'm hoping from you guys is just a vote on that you like the project, and then I can move forward and get this submitted. And I'll do that probably tomorrow morning early, just so we can start the referral process. And I guess I'll just kind of go over it's just some of the big bullet points here. So basically, just to talk about where this is happening. So the grant money is only for what they're calling disadvantaged communities. And in Fitchburg, that's 3 census blocks. And it's basically where Southdale is, where Belmar is, and where Hugo Jamestown. It's those 3 basic neighborhoods. It's a little, they're census blocks, so it's a little bit different than those specific neighborhoods. But these are the parks that are in those census blocks. So all of this money would be spent on trees, tree maintenance, site preparation, in those census blocks for those folks. And you don't put this into the grant, but the nice thing about that, if people say like, well, you're only serving those people, well, that frees up operation stuff for elsewhere.
right.
So everyone benefits. It's like this grant is specifically for this, but really everyone benefits because then we have more.
I think we need to be very clear about that.
Well,
Everybody
even if
benefits,
we
yes.
couldn't reallocate funds that were, it's still a net win. There's no reason not to get the extra funds in my mind, so.
Right.
Rather have to spend the money there and not get the benefit, or get the benefit and then
Well,
have
and
more
the-
flexibility.
And
so.
the benefits in a neighborhood across the city with multiple new tree plantings and good tree maintenance benefits a big area,
Yeah,
a big area. It's
Thank
not just the neighborhood itself, it all contributes to cleaner air and many other things.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the lens that, thank you, and that's kind of the lens that we're looking at this with, because that's what the grant is for, right? And so basically, and so what I asked for money for was what I'm calling canopy renovation. And the project basically is, this is kind of an odd, okay, so basically the grant is asking, is your activities within the census blocks? Yes. The only thing that's not going to be, I put money for staff training in there. Well, we're not gonna train staff, and like staff is gonna go to conferences, staff is gonna go, like that training will not physically happen. It'll benefit those people, but it's not gonna be, the conference is gonna be in Green Bay or wherever, it's not gonna be in, Belmar Hills or whatever it happens to be.
Right,
So,
right.
so at any rate, so that's kind of just explaining that, so that's the part of it, but the meat of it, so this is kind of, I can only spend 2,000 characters on this, but the meat of this whole project is to catch up on tree planting and maintenance in these 3 census blocks. That's the meat of it, and the whole idea, the why, is to get to that 30% canopy goal by 2050. So that's the really condensed version of what this is. How we're gonna do that is basically hire a consultant to go through these parks that are in this area, do a thorough tree inventory of those parks, which we've never really done before. First, outline where the boundaries of the parks, because that's not clear. Is that tree ours? Is that the neighbors? Who knows? We need to outline the boundary of the parks, identify all the trees that we have in these parks, and figure out, okay, what proactive maintenance needs to be done, what removals need to be done, what stumps need to be ground, and how can we plant these out to the extent possible to get to our canopy goal. So that's, yeah, it is, and it's not just for the parks, it's also for the public rights of way, the road rights of way. There aren't terraces on all of those, and it's probably beyond the scope of this project to add a terrace on some of those streets, but like for example, on Leopold, there are no trees and there's a terrace, so it would be a very easy win.
Yeah.
That's probably at least 40-something trees we could put in that aren't there.
Yeah.
So at any rate, and it's not just limited to tree planting. We also have, especially in Southdale, we have we inherited a lot of trees that really have not been maintained, and we need to catch up on tree maintenance there and decide, hey, there's a lot of power lines and there's been some weird pruning, what stays, what goes, what can we do with this whole thing? So at any rate, it's
And that whole area bumps up against a business area. And
Yes.
Semi-industrial.
yeah, it's
So that's, it's not.
Yeah, Artisan Village, I think is what you're thinking about, yeah, yes, yeah, it does, yeah. So at any rate, so it's basically canopy renovation in those three census blocks, really focusing on the parks there, and then also supporting staff with staff training, and doing a lot of community outreach. A big part of this is community outreach, and I didn't specify too much of where or what we're gonna plan, because the whole idea is like we're gonna come up with a plan and work with the community. So instead of like talking about them, we're kind of inviting them in and getting some input. Maybe they want a sugar bush, maybe they want, some fruit trees, maybe they want something completely different that I don't even know about, who knows? And we're open to all of that. And anyway, so it's kind of it's an interesting project. It does have a pretty high price tag, the $170,000. But you'll see, it's, when you break it down, it's not, the biggest part is planting of the trees. But anyway, it's not without thought, and how this breaks down. I was really careful because there is no match for this grant, which is great. However, it's very tempting to ask for an elephant, but we don't have hay in the barn. So what I did is break it down so that every year, basically our budget just gets doubled because you need to spend the money and get reimbursed. So what'll happen is we'll spend the money, get reimbursed, spend the money, get reimbursed, and we won't have to do any special budget amendments. We won't have to borrow from this account, spend the money, put it back in. So it should be a relatively smooth thing for us to do that doesn't involve a lot of complex financial maneuvers. Like we can spend the money, get reimbursed, move forward. So
Is there a time period?
3 years.
3 years.
And it's discrete. After that third year, you're done. If you haven't spent the money, you're toast. And you're not toast. You just don't. You're done. There's no ability to renew or to extend. So at any rate, I think it's a strong proposal. I really did read through everything a million times. I've kind of overworked because I really did a lot of. Anyway, I did a lot of just back and forth, but like I said, the biggest ticket item here is $43,000 for planting trees. And And that would be done with contractors, similar to what we just talked about. It would not be us doing it because we don't really have the staff to do that.
That's what I wondered, yeah, okay, well, that's good then, I mean, that's good. I mean, that needs to be, it needs to.
And part of that is Arbor Day events in these neighborhoods. You know, we probably do another one in Southdale. We do one at Hugo Jamestown. We do, you know, to kind of get to, you know, continue with that community outreach. And so part of this is planting trees with the neighborhood, and part of it too is just doing the kind of what we just talked about, like just planting trees in the terraces where we don't have any. So, and part of the reason why I think we have a strong case is when they said, you know, the Ira Justice 40 goals, I don't know if I really did a good job nailing that, but I tried.
What are you talking about?
Oh, you know, we really had to talk about, you know, these neighborhoods were identified because of the tool that they use to determine who is disadvantaged and who is at most risk for climate change. The only thing I picked out of that was tree canopy, because that's the only one I can really talk about with any competence.
Right.
So I hope that's okay. That's one. I don't know what else to do about that. So there is a lack of tree canopy. It's at 22% throughout the city. It's not. It's probably closer to 10 or 11 in those communities. I didn't want to write that down because it's a little hard to quantify that. But canopy is not distributed evenly throughout the city, and its benefits are not felt.
I think there's a lot of research to support that having a healthy tree canopy, it does a lot of incredible things, but it also improves the quality of life.
Absolutely, which is what this grant is trying to get at.
There's a lot of evidence that in our country it is inequitable.
Yeah, it's the hard
based on income.
The hard thing for me was they want you to use this tool, this climate vulnerability tool, to pull that information out of, and it was really difficult because it's too grainy. It's like too, but I don't know. I tried. I think I didn't want to make anything up. I didn't want to make any extrapolations, but I think I did okay. That's probably the weakest part of the whole thing. But I will say that one of the things that was great is, you know, describe the activities you and your partners have undertaken similar to that in the proposal. We've been doing this kind of stuff, just not at this scale. So my pitch is like, hey, we've been doing these things as time and budget allows. If we get this grant, it catches us up. So we're not like just throwing the bits and pieces here and there. Oh, we have a little bit of money, we're gonna plant trees on High Ridge Trail. Oh, we have a little money, we're gonna plant trees on, you know, on Coho or whatever it is. It's like, okay, we're gonna plant trees throughout all of these census blocks and catch up with where everyone else is at. So I don't know. So hopefully we have credibility. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I've thought about it a lot, but is it compelling? I don't know.
Well, it probably depends partly on how many other people put an application in for this.
Right. And the way I kind of thought about it was like, okay, I'm going to do this research. I'm going to do a good job with this. If it doesn't get funded this way, we'll apply to a different grant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's plenty of things to apply for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to, you know, cry for spilled milk too much, but
no, it's really wonderful to.
Could I comment on number 5 here?
Sure.
It's a little confusing what you've written here. How will you evaluate the success of your project if we have a plan on how to, okay, that presumably you mean we can consider ourselves a success. And then your second sentence, though, we have planted enough trees to reach the scope. Is that another if?
No.
Or have you already planted?
No. So the grant would do that. So I guess you're right, it isn't phrased very well, but the idea is this grant would allow, because we'll plant all these trees. We won't have the 30% canopy until 2050. Right. So what I'm trying to say is like, we'll create this plan on how to get there. We'll plant all those trees, and then by 2050 we'll be there. But it's gonna take that growth.
And that's a citywide assessment.
Yes. So I can tighten up that language.
I would recommend that you fix that to make it clear that's not a declarative sentence. We have not planted enough trees so far to reach the goal. It's something you're looking to do in the future or something. Make that clear.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm trying to say is like, because they're saying, how will you evaluate the success of the project?
Well, you have to make it clear that that is part of your success criterion.
Okay, yeah, I can work on that.
Should you add preserved? Because part of it's the maintenance and repair.
Right. that's what I was
Do you
just,
think planted and preserved?
yeah, I think you're
If
right.
that's part.
Planted and maintained.
Right,
or
maybe
something,
you
yeah.
need to think that, yeah.
Planted and
right.
retained, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Or preserved, maintained, and planted. But preserved and maintained are almost the same thing, I think.
Okay, no, good point, thank you. So, at any rate, and basically, like I said, this project does help us close the gap and how trees and their benefits are distributed throughout the city, and that's the whole point of it. And I think that's what they're looking for, so,
Yeah, that's very exciting.
yeah, no, and it was good to go through this process and kind of, and use our inventory and figure out, okay, where do we have open planting spaces, where do we have budget, this whole thing. So it was a good exercise for me to go through regardless if we get the money or not. And like I say, we can use this argument or we can pitch it to other sources if we don't get this. But I do feel like it's compelling for us. So, I don't know.
And all of these accomplishments become tools to move forward. That's the way it feels.
Right.
Like the inventory, which I know is so critical to get.
Right. And one of these projects that we did last year, we did that with volunteers from DNR who are going to be reviewing this application. So I'm like, you guys know we're doing this stuff. They came and volunteered and they planted the trees on Post Road. So they know we're serious about this, and we watered them all summer and they're still alive. We've got 100% survival. So I think, we have a lot of credibility, and the proof is in the pudding, right? And there's a lot of proof and there's a lot of pudding. So it's not like,
Right. So it's probably really good that the application goes to Wisconsin DNR.
Right.
Because you've been working with them.
right, it's more, right,
Collaborating with them.
Exactly.
Many
right.
grants and other things.
Yeah, exactly, right. And the fact that we had that Million Trees grant was like, have you applied for successful grants? Yes, we got a Million Trees grant. So that's, and because we're Tree Cities of the World, we'll get 2 extra points, which is kind of nice. So anyway, that's kind of my exhaustive sort of blurt, I guess, I don't know.
That's very exciting. All right, any other discussion about this? Any other
This is just a nitpick here. I'm very sensitive to spelling errors.
Oh, geez.
In
I'm sure it's a lot of stuff.
section 5.1, you've got disproportionately losing trees. You mean losing trees.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Loose tree.
You probably lose your loose trees.
Well, I was thinking, never mind what I was thinking of when I was thinking of loose. Never mind. Okay, we also have loose.
Yes, this isn't like, yes, okay. Fair enough, great.
Okay.
So you want from us, do we vote on sending this off for referral or?
Yeah, because what I need is proof of, I need the support from you that this is a good concept to move
Right.
forward with,
That we're
right?
supporting the application, yeah.
Yes.
And the project.
And then with the changes, it'll come back to you before it goes to council, or it should. If the whole referral process works out well, we'll talk about this a little later, but our May meeting is getting moved, so it should come back. It should come back to you. But anyway, so, but I wanted to get this in front of you guys first
Right.
and make sure that you're supportive of the idea and kind of the methodology and how we kind of got to this. Because different people are taking different takes on this, which is fine, but we're going basically expanding our existing operation just to really go after tree planting in those 3 census blocks. We're not doing anything fancy, we're not making anything up, we're just saying, hey, we need a plan on how to really renovate the canopy in these parks, most of which really need it, and we really need to just put a big investment into canopy there just to catch them up with everything else. So.
And this is all new responsibility for us that didn't come with a budget of its own, some of these areas.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head because some of these parks are old enough that they did not come with the park improvement funds that we have to plant trees in other places. So, right, we didn't have the mechanism to plant trees in these parks when we got them that we have now. So, yeah, that's a good point. So.
Okay, so does anyone propose so we want a motion to support
Motion in support of this application, like that?
That'd be great.
in support of the application and the content that has been described as a project, as a goal.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion unanimously passes.
So then what I'll do is I will make these changes, get this submitted, and then Scott will approve, and that'll move it through the process. And he asked me, he's like, can you make your changes today? I'm like, I got time to tree advisory. So I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to take a look at this and kind of hearing my long-winded way of explaining how we got to where we are.
Yeah.
And went through a lot of versions.
Appreciate being able to do that, to see it, yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and it's good to have it sort of out there in the ether, so to speak, so.
Okay, and the next agenda item is report from the department.
Yeah, it should be on here. I provided a written report. It should be the last thing on here.
It's in the packet.
Okay, here. Yay, so yeah, we've got a lot going. Yeah, here it is.
Yep, it's the last page of the packet.
Oh, it's the last page.
Yeah, 57.
So the big ticket items here are the getting the bids back and, and going back and forth with vendors. We had a lot of questions, which is awesome, especially about tree pits. And just going back and forth and getting, everyone on the same page and getting good bids, which we got, which was awesome. Just kind of promoting the Tree City of the World designation and the Growth Award, which is very significant. And also with the tree grates, this is kind of funny. So we got these 4 years ago, and I didn't look at them because they sat in Terravessa, right? And we're finally ready to plant the trees, and they're putting the tree grates on, and I'm like, there's bars over where we put the tree. And it turns out, so then I talked to engineering, I'm like, hey, engineering, we can't really plant these because there's 2 bars that are going across. It looks like that's where when they molded them with the cast iron, they didn't cut off because they molded them and they had a little bar across where I think they lifted them in and out of the mold. Anyway, I'm like, they didn't cut that off, so we can't put a tree in because it would be it just isn't. So we had to talk to Nina Foundry and get those ground off.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
hilarious, but it was, I'm like,
How many of them were there?
I can't remember. It wasn't all of them, but enough that it would have really, if we hadn't checked and done all this, and engineering did a great job of doing all the legwork, but if we hadn't had such A, awesome engineering staff, and B, if we hadn't been paying attention, it would have been a disaster. So anyway, stuff like that I don't put in here, but it's just we inspected tree grates and anyway, so. Yeah, and then finish this grant, I guess, is a big thing too. And then one thing I did in the context of this grant, one thing that's on here that I did is that, we're gonna be planting a lot of trees around playgrounds with this grant, so there are standards on how to do that quote unquote safely. So I attended CIVMIC is our insurer. So I attended a playground safety course that CIVMIC put on, really just to get the tree portion. And really we can't have any, and we're gonna be trying
Did it come up after the conversation with Hillside?
It might have. It might have. But there really isn't any.
Where we were able to preserve
Cottonwoods.
cottonwoods.
Yeah.
That were healthy.
Yeah, it might have. I can't remember exactly.
I think that was part of the Parks Department
Yeah.
conversation.
I think you're right. So then I was just like, okay, there are standards out there, really, just so a kid of even middle school age can't reach over from the playground and grab a tree branch and either pull it or grab it and swing or something of that nature. They just can't be within grabbing distance.
Okay.
So you have to just be pretty careful of that. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I just wanted to make sure as we're
Right.
in this grant process, planting a lot of trees around playgrounds, in parks, all this stuff, that we're not.
But under no conditions are they saying we need to remove all of our mature trees so that limbs don't break in the storm.
No, obviously keep them pruned and you can't have dead wood around a playground, which it kind of goes without saying, but it's considered safe as long as a kid can't grab and pull something off to hurt themselves or grab it and swing out or things of
That's
that nature.
really good to know.
Yeah, I mean, and that
I think
was,
for the Parks Department and
right.
to tell them.
Yeah, so I was doing other things a little bit while that was playing because I wanted the tree park. When the tree park came on, I was like, okay, what are we talking about? But anyway, so that was really interesting, and at any rate. And another thing that's on here that I forgot to mention is we did hire Morgan Hayes to do the Park Recs and Forestry assistant position, and she actually did start this week. She wasn't able to come to this meeting, and she's awesome. I think you guys will really like her. She graduated from college a year ago. She is a sustainability/environmental science minor, so she's great. She's got a lot of relevant experience to what we're doing, and she's very much a go-getter, so I think I'm really excited to have her on board and very yeah, it'll be great. So, anyway, that's the long and the short of it, maybe longer than short, but.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
How many hours is this position?
480, I think is what it is. It's like basically 3 months. So we'll see how it goes. And I don't know, in the past we've been able to like pull hours from other jobs. I don't know that we can do that or not, I don't know. So we'll just go with what we've got for now, and if we want to extend, we'll cross that bridge when we get close, I guess. But yeah, good question.
And I see Emerald ash borer on here, as always, there's
Yeah,
one
that's a
annual.
Right, we have a lot of infestation.
It's on giving.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of terrible. So, thank you for bringing that up. We are gonna refresh our EAB plan this year because between 2 years of drought and, I don't know what else, just heavy beetle pressure, I think, we are losing some trees that we've treated, and, there's not much we can really do about it. So we're inspecting more now than we have in the past. And, I just marked 5 trees for removal last week. And, it's sad but true. I don't know what else to say, but we're gonna refresh that. And I was looking back at our original plan. We've done most of it. It set us up for success. We just need to refresh it because we're kind of beyond some of the things that were in there. We've already accomplished it. So, yeah.
And did you say that typically a tree can only respond to treatment for a certain amount of time? It's not indefinite, is that correct? And
Usually.
eventually they stop uptaking the
Exactly.
treatment.
Yeah, because the whole way the treatment works is it's it's dependent upon the vascular system of the tree to move that chemical through. So if the tree has vascular damage, the treatment doesn't get moved up, and then the beetle's like, aha, here we go. And that's exactly what happens. You can see like, oh, it did take up on this side, and kabam, it's all infested. And once that happens, you're done. You can't. There's just nothing you can do. So you really, because the beetle's a phloem feeder, so you need that tree to be able to conduct that chemical to the phloem to kill the larva.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have the tree on your side because it's a drought and it's not taking things up because it's not respiring because it's too dry, or if it has vascular damage or whatever, there's no second thing to do at this point. So, and right now beetle pressure, as you can imagine, is really high because there's so many infested ash trees just spewing beetles out. So,
Yeah, like that.
so if there's any opening, they're on it.
They're on the new trees.
Yeah. So, at any rate, that's the sad reality of emerald ash borer. The gift that keeps on giving is yes. Anyway, so, and naturalist-wise, we actually are having a good burn season, which is awesome.
Good.
Yeah. And one thing we did, we just had too many people asking for tree planting events in the spring, and I just could not keep up with it all. So we kind of put together this tree planting event policy that basically says, like, if you want a tree planting event for your neighborhood or whatever, outside of Arbor Day, you gotta let us know way ahead of time, and then we'll probably do it in the fall. Because spring just gets too busy. Like tomorrow, this whole McGaw thing we're doing, which will be great. I mean, like, Morgan and I was grateful to have her help, like, all week we've been working on that, which is fine, but it's like, and we can't then turn around and then get ready for another tree planting event in between that and then what we're doing at Rose Commons and things of that nature. So it's too hectic. We used to do a lot of those and it's just too much to keep up with. We really need to put those in the fall, and then the intern can help me get those together, and we can, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's kind of what we're thinking of with that. So anyway, so that's kind of
Spring.
the nutshell, or maybe it's.
All right. Anything else anybody would like to talk about with that? I want to go through the list of events occurring again, and we can do that
Yes.
now, or?
Should we go through announcements and do
Yeah,
that?
we should. Yeah.
Awesome. So tomorrow,
I have the list.
Day. Awesome, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the, wow, yeah, we had a lot going. So, yes, so tomorrow is the McGaw Workday, and we have a group from DNR coming in the morning, and basically what they're gonna be doing, we have some honeysuckle resprouts, but not a lot, so we're gonna be cutting and doing some treating, but not much. In 2018, with a group of volunteers, we planted a nursery of oak trees that were donated, but they were the yearling oak trees, so they were like this big, little sticks. So we planted those with the idea that in 2 years, we'd come back and plant them out throughout the park. Well, 2 years later was 2020. Nothing happened, right?
Right, nothing
We could not have,
Well, that happened, but it wasn't.
and we had,
good.
it wasn't good. Right, and we had the volunteer day scheduled but of course it got canceled, 2021 wasn't any better, and then 22 and 3 were just super busy, so finally in 24, we're getting back to that. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. There has been a little bit of honeysuckle resprout, so tomorrow morning, DNR cutting, treating some honeysuckle, moving oak trees, and then we have a whole slug of native shrubs we're gonna plant in there.
Yeah.
So that, the idea is we're gonna transform that triangle area. If anyone's interested in what we're talking about doing the rest of the park, they can look there and be like, hey, this is what we're talking about. So in the morning, we've got the DNR coming, in the afternoon, we have a group from Sierra Club coming. So the idea is like, okay, we're gonna get these oak trees moved around, staked, planted, the whole 9 yards, and then we're gonna get all these shrubs installed. So if anyone has a question in terms of like, you know, when people think, you know, is this gonna be barren, what's this gonna look like, they actually can get a visual. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about doing some woodland restoration, taking out the honeysuckle, you know, getting more appropriate tree cover in there. So that's the whole idea behind it, so that when we do talk about Magali again, we're ready to go with an example, hey, this is it.
What are some key times then?
9 o'clock is when they're coming, the DNR starting at 9, and anyone else can come if you like, it's open to the public. 9 to noon is DNR/public, and then from 1 to 3 is Sierra Club/public. So, we're ready to go, so I think it'll be good. I'm a little nervous that some of those oak trees might need some significant root pruning because they've been in there too long, and they might have a hard time surviving if it doesn't rain, but we'll see. Soil out there is really good right now, so we'll see. So anyway, that's tomorrow. The 23rd is council proclamation, growth award, Tree Cities of the World designation. 26th is here, mayor is planting a tree at 10:30 on the 26th, which is Friday, which is Arbor Day. Mayor is here planting a tree, raising the flag, doing a little public get together, and I need to bring some cookies or something, which we'll get that handled. Anyway, and then the kids are coming from the childcare center that's just across the way here and helping her plant the tree. And then we're gonna thank Public Works for all their help because they have been awesome. And just just have a nice time, you know, just say thank you trees and eat a cookie or so.
I was thinking about coming out to that, would it be helpful if somebody else brought the cookies?
Well, if you want to, you can.
I'm more than willing to.
Awesome, that would be great.
Just let me know how many more or less to, I mean, I guess maybe we don't know, but
No,
I'll get a Costco size,
yeah,
couple things of cookies.
that would be awesome.
Maybe do baking, but that seems,
That's a lot of baking.
yeah, distinctly less likely.
Yeah, no, thank you. So at any rate, I'm very excited. This is the first mayor who's wanted to plant a tree in forever. So that's awesome. So,
Yeah, that's great. I'll be there too.
yeah, and so, and it's gonna be right out here for the flagpole. I was looking, we lost a maple tree out there, but I think, I wanna put a chicken pin oak, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll get that figured. Anyway, so that is the 26th, and then the 27th is the Rose Commons event, where we're gonna put in a bunch of trees and a bunch of shrubs and have a great time.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so,
I saw that volunteer, he asked me, I said, contact Donna.
Yeah.
He's a really good worker.
awesome, yeah. So I think, you know, we're teed up to do a lot of great stuff this spring. I really appreciate all your help and support getting to this point. I think we're really at a good, I don't wanna say launch point, because that's not quite accurate. We're just at a really great momentum, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
People ask great questions. I mean, even questions about, are we only like trying to save the trees that are on the list for the tree preservation ordinance? I said, oh no, absolutely not. There are many valuable trees, and you know, native trees are valuable, other trees are valuable too. And it is about preservation, maintenance, and plantings.
yeah, absolutely. So
Great questions coming up.
I agree. Yeah, and a lot of support, which is awesome. So, so we'll see, and I'll keep you posted as this IRA grant works through. It's gonna get referred to Healthy Neighborhoods, Parks, probably Finance. I don't know who else. I don't really make the referral. I don't decide all that, but I'm kind of guessing, but I would assume it would get referred to all of those committees, and we'll see what they say. I don't know. So anyway, thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Oh, and another very important announcement is, before I forget, our May meeting has gotten changed. I sent you the email as soon as this happened. So city administration approached me and said, hey, you need to move your May meeting because there's we're having a strategic planning session on May 9th, which is during our meeting time, and they need FACT-TV and everybody to be involved with that. So we had to move to May 23rd, which is a Tuesday. So I apologize for that, but there wasn't really much that could be done. So.
Right, so it's changed to, I have it written down someplace.
It's May 23rd.
May,
The 23rd is still.
which is,
Oh, shoot.
it's the 21st, I think, on Tuesday, right?
Thank
Is it a
you. Let me
Tuesday?
just make sure.
In your email, you said Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay, thank you.
Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
yes. Because I
will not
tried
be
for
able to make it to
Thursday.
that, unfortunately.
I know,
Yeah.
and I kind of figured that. So if it ends up we don't have quorum, we don't have quorum. The only thing is that is the meeting that you'll be finalizing the IRA grant. You know, but I did get it in front of you now, so I'm not anticipating a ton of changes.
I
But-
will be able to be there, so if,
We'll see, and we'll have a new.
The earlier date was the date you couldn't.
right, and you, yeah, right, right.
I was
And now,
gonna-
yeah.
And I don't know who our alder is gonna be. We'll have a new
Right.
alder by then.
Right, it'd be nice to meet with somebody before that. I mean, I'd be happy to do that once we know.
Who it is. So it's somewhat of a shot in the dark, but it was almost the only time when this room, Fact TV, was available and there wasn't another meeting happening. So, yeah, so I'm sorry, Tuesday, May 21st, 4 p.m., this room. So hopefully we can make that work. And if we can't, we'll have to figure something else out.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think we talked about that did we talk about that last time, or did it happen in between last time and this time, about the McGaw resolution, that we're just waiting because Greenfield is going through that neighborhood, right? That neighbors McGaw, the wooded area that we would like to see
Improved,
cleaned up, yeah, restored, repaired.
many things.
Right,
Many
so
things.
I think it's been recommended that we just wait to pursue that until they have made the decision about have accepted a developmental, plan for development that the neighborhood is working on. So that would push us to, well, hopefully we can do that in September. But I'm even wondering if we could, at our last tree advisory committee, if we could talk about it in June and make plans for it and do some outreach and then pursue it formally in September.
Okay, I'll let you work out that timeframe.
Okay.
I don't really have an opinion about it. I
Okay.
will say it would be great to get everything established that we're planting this spring and have it look awesome when we start, you know what I mean? Like, so if it rains and we get everything established and it's looking awesome, it'd be great to do it like during bloom or something, but anyway, because we're putting
During what?
during bloom, we're putting some showy stuff in there that'll really look nice. So, but I think at a bare minimum, let's have something, something really to showcase, so to speak,
Yes,
which hopefully we're gonna get
and
really.
then as you said, I mean, then we'd be able to talk to the neighbors, homeowners about saying, this is what we'd like to extend to this area, which badly needs it, so.
Right.
And that was the original plan. So.
Right, and I think if we have a visual to showcase,
Yep.
it's gonna be
That
much
sounds
easier for people
great.
to understand.
Yep.
What
So
we're talking
hopefully
about.
we'll be able to resolve that.
Especially if they can go look at it at their leisure, like
Right.
whenever they wanna go look, they can just take a peek. So, anyway,
Am I making sense?
yes,
Yeah, tell me more about what you said, there's some sort of neighborhood initiative that we have to wait for before we go
Well,
ahead.
so there's some development happening on the border of Greenfield neighborhood, and that's the neighborhood that borders McGaw Park in that forested area. So there's, like with all of us, I think in our neighborhoods, there's already a lot of change that's gonna be happening, and then people have strong feelings about that. So they're really involved in that whole process right now. I think it's nearing, I think the public house on the plans is, I don't know, it's a third week in May maybe a little earlier than that. So
Well, I
we're
think-
hoping to finalize that, and I think the
What kind of development is going on? Is it going to be apartment buildings or a commercial site or?
well, I think what's happening is the neighborhood plan, right? So they're just going through the neighborhood
Neighborhood
planning
plan.
process, so all of this is kind of getting thought through. And so there's no, and it isn't like this is what's gonna happen, it's like the neighborhood plan is like, okay, this is sort of the direction we'd like to head sort of thing. It's a very high level document, it isn't specific and it isn't like, you know, this is gonna be this and this is gonna be this. It's just a high-level planning document, so we don't end up crossways with.
Probably has the most implication for like zoning, right? For zoning,
Exactly. So, right.
policy.
So it's not like there's a specific project that's
No,
that's being
no.
planned.
No, and there wouldn't be, right? This is just the big picture, you know, neighborhood plan that says, for example, the McGaw neighborhood plan says, hey, the city will work on a plan, a forest management plan for McGaw Park. Nothing specific, just like, hey, this is one of the bullet points that you should look into, just for example. And so it's just a high level, what is that
It's a
term,
bit high
5,000 foot view,
stakes.
45, but is it 40,000 feet? I forget what, just like the big overview of kind of what's going on for, you know, planning roads and those sorts of things. So it's a high level situation. And I think it's kind of a capacity thing, like people are really busy doing that, and then, you know, and then if we want people to think about another sort of big project, we're gonna just.
And they may wonder how that relates to what they're already involved in, so.
Right, yeah. Waiting for bandwidth, basically. Does anyone have any other questions for me about everything that's going on, or?
Good. What are you thinking, Brendan?
McGaw.
I know. It seems simple to us, but it doesn't.
And I think after tomorrow at 3 o'clock, it'll be so nice, people will just be like, wow, this is amazing.
It already looked nice last year.
Yeah, it looked nicer, but it's gonna look even better yet.
Well, even that little park in Greenfield is so beautiful, like, that's been cleared out, and, I mean, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little confusing because that's already really beautiful.
Right, yeah, we have, I don't wanna drag this meeting on, but I'm so worried about Gypsy Moth and Greenfield. We did a lot of egg mass oiling there, we've tried so hard over there, I just hope it rains this spring and.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful, and those trees they can't take another solid infestation, and we throw everything we've got at controlling those gypsy moth, and it's tough. But anyway, so that's a different topic, I guess. And I don't wanna end on that note, let's end on the Arbor Day is awesome, and we're rolling into it.
Arbor Day, I mean, the 2024 planting plan, everything is gonna make a huge difference.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very exciting. All right, do we have a motion to convene?
I move we adjourn.
Adjourn.
All right,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
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 Was the second you hit, or? Okay.
Opposed? All right, so we are adjourned at 5:09. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.